Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I am looking at The Incredible Hulk, number 339. Alright, let's continue on with the Peter David Hulk run. We're at issue number 339. Still don't have a McFarlane cover yet. We've got Geiger McLeod doing it again. Once again, I'm not super impressed with the layout design of this cover. It's okay. I think the funhouse mirrors in the background are somewhat interesting, but I'm trying to come at this from the perspective of a kid picking this up off a spinner rack. And knowing about the Hulk, usually you want him kind of like rampaging or something, lifting something. I mean, here he is like just hovering over what looks like a teenager here with some energy on his hand in front of some funhouse mirrors. It's not awful, but nothing about it to me is saying, this is a super interesting comic, come grab this. Now, that's the cover. It's your first impression, but the inside is a different story because I really did enjoy this issue revisiting it. We start out, we have what looks like a father-son. They're playing video games, and Dad says he has to go back to work, and he pulls on a trophy on the mantle, and a secret door opens up. A little bit of mystery there, like what's going on here? Why is Dad, he gets to work from home in an era where that's not a common thing? And why is he going to a secret room? The only thing I would say that's kind of bad about this is this dad looks an awful lot like Rick Jones, which is kind of confusing. If you've been reading the title to this point, that would kind of be confusing. We're going to quickly cut away from them, though, and we're at kind of an old comic book trope. We're going to end up at a fairground or a carnival or a circus, or I don't know why, but these comic guys, they love to set a storyline in a location like that. I don't know why. Maybe it was the big spectacle they grew up with as a kid, so they try to include it in these books that were technically made for kids. I don't know. I just think it's funny. We're following Rick and Clay and Bruce on this mission to find Betty, and B, to find the gamma bomb stockpiles that the government is secretly hiding. Why are they stopping at a fair? I don't know, but that's going to give us kind of like a backdrop. So there's a bratty kid up here around these funhouse mirrors. He's just being a brat, and Bruce tries to calmly say something nice to him to calm him down, and the brat kid whacks him in the leg. Wham! Then we get a pretty cool title page by McFarlane here with Bruce in pain, which would have triggered the Hulk in the old days of anger, fear, anxiety, things like making him turn into the Hulk. But now we only get the Hulk at nighttime. So Bruce is just going to take the pain in the leg. Pretty fun. Images of the Hulk screaming in the mirrors, and the kid still just being a brat. Our credit line, we have Peter David as the writer, Todd McFarlane as the penciler, and we still have Jim Sanders III as the inker. But at this point, I'm liking Jim Sanders more. I think he started out with a very heavy line, and he still kind of does. You can kind of see it there. But he's gotten more comfortable with McFarlane, or maybe McFarlane's gotten more comfortable with him. This issue, you see more of the McFarlaneisms coming through than in about 4 issues ago. There's an interesting dynamic going right here where Bruce is kind of saying something about the dad who's saying he's going to take the kid home and whip him for acting out and stuff. So there's an interesting dynamic going on this page where Bruce is actually taking up for the dad who's kind of getting on the kid about acting out, and basically saying that you're going to get it when you get home. And Clay is a little shocked that Bruce would take up for the father in that way, because he's saying, I know your shield file, and I know that your father was quite abusive. And Bruce takes up for his father right here, saying that he was a sick man, and under the circumstances, he did the best he could. Clay keeps pushing it until like Bruce just kind of shuts down the conversation altogether. On this reread, I found this interaction pretty interesting because this is something actually introduced by Bill Mantlo in this issue, Hulk number 312, where they introduced the idea that Bruce is from, the father is abusive. The mother is quite kind and loving. It was always like tormenting Bruce and calling him a mutant and all kinds of stuff of that nature. And it's even implied that he kills the mother in here, but gets away with it. this is like a pivotal book in the Hulk's history. And the story behind it is even more interesting when you know that Barry Windsor Smith actually came up with that idea and pitched it to Marvel. And they had a disagreement on using some language, so BWS never told the story. However, Bill Mantlo must have heard about the idea in the office, or maybe it was told to him, be like, hey, this is a good idea, you should do it. And so he did, and that was kind of the end of Bill Mantlo's run too. I think he did one more issue before he left the Hulk. Barry Windsor Smith kept that idea going and eventually turned it into this book, Monsters. He took what was going to be like maybe like a double-sized issue of the Hulk and turned it into this, which is pretty nuts. And he spent almost 40 years working on this. This is a masterpiece. And if you're familiar with the Hulk story, you see where its roots are in this, but this is expanded into something so much more. So a little sidebar, check this book out if you haven't. It was just a graphic novel. It was never in single issues. It's still in print as far as I know. It only came out about 3 years ago, so definitely hop on this. So as I was saying, that is an interesting thing for Peter David to be bringing up in this point in his run, because it is something that's going to play a pivotal role a few years from now when we get into the merged Hulk story. But we're still a long way away from that. You can tell Peter David already thinking about that at this point, about the abusive father aspect of Bruce Banner's psyche. A sidebar on the Pele Tang ad. They make Tang anymore? I don't think I ever see it at stores. Anyway. Oh yeah, one more thing to point out here is the Felix the Cat that McFarlane likes to sneak into a lot of his early Marvel work. Clay won this at something. He has it here at this carnival, and he has it there. And it's just kind of funny. Why are they stopping at this carnival, and why is the tough guy SHIELD agent winning a Felix the Cat stuffed animal? This kind of continues out that same conversation, and Rick's kind of like, whoa, man, that was a little over the line, you pushing Bruce like that. This is a weird part right here. It's good angle on the panel, but this like thought balloon of this guy saying he lifted a wallet on the Ferris wheel here and that they're going to eat tonight. I don't know why that's introduced, because we don't get back to it again. And it seems like that's maybe like in the previous issue, Clay had put a tracking device on a big rig truck to throw SHIELD off. And I thought maybe that was going to come into play again, but we never get back to this. So I don't know. I don't know if this was something that like maybe they were going to do something with, and then that was it. So we catch up to Betty, who's run off with that Ramon guy for a minute, and she's mentioning how she's been sick every day for some reason. Sunset's coming up. Bruce is getting ready to turn. A lot of exposition here about him wearing the tattered clothes so he doesn't rip new clothes. Turns into the Hulk, and the first thing he says, why are we still in this useless burg anyway? Betty's nowhere around here. You think I got all year? Rick and Quartermain, who are kind of hard to tell apart in the coloring here. I guess Quartermain has the black pants on. They kind of goad the Hulk a little bit, almost like how Quartermain was goading Bruce earlier about his dad. Here comes Rick kind of goading him about Betty, and mentions, we're gonna go get some information we need, and then we're going to leave this town. I mean, Rick kind of pushes us. Said, what's more important to you, finding the gamma bombs or Betty who ran out on you? What kind of stupid question is that? The bombs, of course. I don't give a flying fig about Banner's simpering wife. Yeah? So how come the first thing you started talking about was Betty? The same way she's Bruce's main concern. So Rick is trying to point out to the Hulk that him and Bruce are a lot more alike than the Hulk cares to admit. Great single panel here, just a little bit of the Hulk's face. This is something McFarlane's been doing that I think it's a reoccurring technique he's been using throughout the book so far, and it works great every time. Great use of it. So the Hulk gets mad, throws a tree at Rick, and they take off running. They hit up a 7-Eleven and buy a bunch of like sandwiches and stuff, and the guy's like, you guys must be hungry, and Clay with some witty Peter David dialogue, actually, it's not for us. We got the Hulk sitting in our van, and he's real starved. Ha ha, you boys are great kidders. Aren't we, though? Love this shot of the Hulk just like sitting on the floor of the van, chowing down on all the gas station food. Essentially, Clay is explaining how they're going to an old Shield safe house to maybe access the computer system to try to find where the bombs are. Cut to Washington, D.C., and we get to see the leader who is using some type of hypnotic ability he has to get this general guy under his control. Of course, you see him in the shadow first, and then his hat flies off, and it's the leader with his popcorn head and his handlebar mustache. Now we see that the people we saw at the beginning of the book, the dad and the boy, they're in this like bunker. So it turns out he's a Shield agent. And why does he have this kid here? It's like he has to have his son with him. Where's the mom? What's going on here? Anyway, they see something going off in the upper part of the house. The dad goes to pick it up, or the dad goes to check it out. And I like this great cartooning going on here, sticking his head out. He's got that tough guy look on his face. All of a sudden, he sees the Hulk because there's the hand coming, and then he's like, whoop. And then even here, it's like the Hulk's grabbed him by the jacket. And he does the dumb thing and fires his gun at the Hulk, which is pointless. Now, I guess I can say, in the defense of the guy, a lot of people don't know that the Hulk is gray at this point. Maybe this Shield agent should probably know. Most people don't probably realize it is even the Hulk. Great layout on this page, all the way down from the close up of the eyes, smashing the gun to the guy's face in pain with the big sound effect going in the background. I love the layout of this panel too, with the Hulk kind of coming in from the top corner like that over him. And of course, Clay has to come in to, stop him. Like, what's going on? And this Shield agent, he does know about Clay, calls him a traitor, and yada yada yada. Meanwhile, down in the basement, the kid, his hands start glowing. And they've been building up to that too. The dad had asked him a few times if he felt okay. How's everything going? And the kid's like, why do you keep asking me that? So they go down to the secret Shield database center because Clay wants to just check out the mainframe, like I was saying. The kid's hiding. He's worried about his dad. He's holding, I don't know what he's holding there, but he ends up like burning it up with his hot hands, I guess. Clay is able to get into the computer system. I like this shot of the Hulk turning around too, because he hears it. You hear something. Just the little motion lines. It's the subtle stuff like that. The eye in the corner. Good stuff. One panel of Ramon wondering what's going on with Betty in the shower. She's been in there a long time. It's weird how they like just kind of plug that in spots, because sometimes it's like plotted out really well to juxtapose it with whatever's going on with the Hulk, and sometimes it's just kind of like, oh yeah, we need to squeeze something in about that little subplot. This kid comes out and his hands are all glowy. The Hulk is like, it's just a kid. Let me take care of him. I like that he's wearing a John Elway jersey because they are in Colorado. And he blasts the Hulk, who it hurts him. So it must have singed him enough to where the Hulk is at least temporarily hurt for a minute. He'll recover, and he smashes a big hole in the wall because he can't see. So the kid's confused about his powers. He's like, I didn't mean to do that. And then he blasts at the other guys too, because they're intruders in his house. So he's like, where's my dad? My dad can help with what this craziness going on. And I guess he takes off through the hole here. They don't really show the kid leaving. They're just saying like, come back. He said, Clay, the Hulk went this way. He's like, I suggest we do the same. Wait up. And so they're running, and the kid is really just looking for the dad. Now we're going to get the explanation. Rick's like, who is this kid? And Clay starts to explain Alex Hayden had an accident with it, absorbed properties, and wound up incinerating his own dad, his real dad. He's explaining that he was like experimented on here. And you get a nice full exposition dump of the kid. And all of this took place over in Peter Parker number 118, which was, I looked it up. I've never read it, but I did look it up, and it was written by Peter David. So Peter David just kind of pulling parts from other things he's working on. Nice little continuity crossover. It's not exactly a crossover, but I love editor's notes. If I had this issue, I would have pulled it out to refresh it for this video, but I didn't have it. So moving on. So now the kid's kind of coming to with it again, and he's coming at Clay and Rick, but the Hulk returns through the ceiling. He's recovered, and he's not happy about the kid, and he doesn't care that he's a kid. He just knows that the kid shot him, and it initially hurt him, and he's gonna like take care of the kid. And you gotta love again. I love pointing out how McFarlane's able to get this like huge. I mean, he's just wide. He's big and wide, but he fits him in to these panels with normal size humans. Love the profile pic too. You get to see the brow sticking out and just a little nose in a straight line coming down. McFarlane, he's really come into like how he wants to draw the Hulk by this point. Like, and it's perfect timing because what's coming next is the best issue ever. They chase the kid. We get back to bed. We also get to Ramon. So here it is kind of juxtaposed. So here you're getting the Hulk chasing the kid, and here you get Ramon wondering what's going on with Betty, and he kicks in the door to the bathroom. The water's just running, and the window is open, and it looks like Betty is gone. She's left him too. Kid runs out of the house, and look where we're headed, back to the fair. So that's going to get us back to the cover image of this funhouse of mirrors. McFarlane had fun with this because obviously the Hulk is just looking in this mirror. These shouldn't be reflections of his face up here. Those should be like different parts of his body. But McFarlane's going to have fun, show some crazy looking Hulk faces all around. Hulk doesn't like it. He's just going to smash all the cameras. And again, look how wide the Hulk is here. McFarlane does a pretty good job on the kid, I gotta say. He looks kid. Like here he looks a little big, a little muscular even. But for the most part, like the face is a pretty good kid face and the size has been pretty good. Whereas on the cover, I said it looked too much like a teenager or like a young man even. But here, I mean, that's pretty kid-like. Pretty good kid face. Like I said, a little big, a little muscular there. But I love that Hulk coming out of the shadow. Then as he finally catches up to the kid, here's where like the stuff about Bruce's dad and stuff kind of come into play. You start seeing it in the funhouse mirror. The Hulk is now experiencing Banner's trauma, and all of a sudden he's going to empathize with the kid because the kid is screaming and crying, and he's worried about his dad, who's the SHIELD. The kid thinks that the SHIELD agent is his dad, but he's even coming to and realizing what was going on. I think he's mixing it up here like Bruce and because that's not the way Brian Banner was drawn before, but maybe McFarlane didn't know that. Anyway, the Hulk decides, is like, whoa, okay, he was going to smash him, but no, it's okay. No one's going to die. So back at the SHIELD safe house, Rick and Clay are talking to the SHIELD agent and smash. In comes the Hulk with the kid riding on his shoulder. And he's like, he's with us now. This kid's coming with us. And they're like, whoa, we can't take this kid on what we're doing. We've got another thing we're doing. And the kid is basically like, no, it's okay. I kind of like my SHIELD dad, even though he's not my real dad. He's been good to me and I like him. And he decides to stay. And the Hulk is like, you sure? He's like, well, you better take care of him. Or I'll find you wherever you go. So the Hulk now threatening the SHIELD dad to take care of the kid, which the SHIELD dad, I think, has like bonded with the kid. He's been in charge with him ever since the incident that happened in the Peter Parker book. And then there's a joke about the kid doing his homework or something and his hands start glowing. And now let's talk about that allowance. So kind of some 80s sitcom humor going on right there. Then we get back outside. Nice little Colorado scene here. They're just sitting outside, and Rick asks him, what's going on? Why'd you stop from smashing the kid? None of your business, Jones. Oh, you wouldn't understand anyway. It's probably better we left the kid behind. You know how you've said that being around me brings out things in some people they'd rather forget they had them? Well, being near that kid brought out things in me that I'd rather forget. But you never forget, Rick. Never. And then Rick, he called me Rick. Pretty good ending, I think, and nice touching on the past of Bruce Banner. That other than that one issue that I held up earlier, hadn't been explored any further up to this point. So Peter David definitely building towards something much down the road. He's laying the foundation for something he presumably has an idea for down the road. I mean, these guys can't really know how long they're actually going to be on the title, but he's at least laying some groundwork there. Next issue, guess who with the claw? Great setup there. I have to think that sales of the title were already improving, and the next issue has to I should look that up, but the next issue has to be the tipping point. That's all I got for Hulk 339. Until next time, read your comics.